My name is Malia Bennett. I'm 18 and I go to Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College, aka ABAC.
My name is Julie Collins. I'm 39 years old and I graduated from Auburn University in 2002.
Hello, my name is Suzanne Cisneros. I am 41 years old. I started college at Valdosta State University and then transferred to Georgia State, where I graduated in May of 2000.
I'm Joyce Cochran. I am 68 years old and I graduated in 1972 from Jacksonville State University.
So how would you define harassment?
I would define harassment as unwanted advances or a behavior that would cause a hostile environment.
I think harassment is verbal abuse that can become offensive over time.
Harassment is when someone says something to you that offends you or makes you feel uncomfortable.
Harassment is when someone abuses, insults, or harms another person. Some forms of harassment are insults, bullying, intimidating. Anytime someone is placed into a hostile environment.
How would you define sexual assault?
When someone physically makes an advance on you that makes you feel uncomfortable without your consent.
I think sexual assault is when someone does something to you that is inappropriate, such as putting their hands on some part of your body, and you feel very uncomfortable.
So to me, sexual assault is when someone is forced or coerced to do a sexual act against their will.
Sexual assault is unwanted sexual contact where the person has not consented or is not able to consent.
Was harassment and or sexual assault prominent when you were attending college?
No, it wasn't. I graduated from college in 1972 and there was nothing like this then.
So can you describe your college experience? Like, were you part of any extracurricular activities, any sororities, anything like that?
Yes, I was. I was in AO Pi, Alpha Omicron Pi. We had a lot of parties. We liked to have fun. Of course, we were serious too when it came time, but I don't think that's what you're focusing on right now. So I was with AO Pi for 4 years during my college days.
While I was at Valdosta State, I dated a guy who was in a fraternity. So as a result, we on the weekends would do mostly fraternity related activities, mini parties and get-togethers. We also would go to other colleges in the area like Florida State, where they had the same chapter of fraternity, and hang out there.
Have you or anyone you know been sexually harassed or assaulted?
I have 2 friends who were sexually assaulted in college. The first friend was one of my sorority sisters. We were at a party at a bar, and a guy kept bringing her drinks, and her friend noticed throughout the night that she just started acting super weird, not herself, and it was not her typical drunk self, I guess. And so her friend decided that she was going to take her home. The boy that had been buying her drinks all night was very insistent that she had already told him that they were going to go home together. And the friend threatened to call the police and told him to basically back off. They were getting in a cab and they were going home, and he was not going to be leaving with her. Later that night, my friend reached a very bad point and they had to call the ambulance, and it was determined that she was given date rape drugs in the alcohol that she was given by the boy. The school was contacted. I believe that charges were filed, but I don't know exactly what happened from there. My other friend was date raped. She was on a date with a boy that she thought was very nice, and it got to a point at the end of the night where he just pushed himself on her, and she was so scared she didn't know what to do, and knew that she did not consent to it, but she did not end up pressing charges or even reporting it to anyone at the university.
So while I was at Valdosta, I have a friend who was sexually assaulted. It was after, it was actually during one of the frat parties that she had been drinking, and this guy that she liked and was in a lot of her classes, she was interested in him. She was talking to him at the party, and she was really drunk and doesn't really remember a whole lot other than she knows that she did not say yes. So she was raped, and unfortunately she never reported it to anybody, and she ended up dropping out of school because she couldn't handle seeing this guy every day in class. And actually then he started harassing her because she didn't say anything, and wanting a repeat when she didn't want it to begin with. As far as harassment, I actually had a boyfriend in college who harassed me and was very mean and very intimidating, very controlling, in order to make me do the things that he wanted me to do. Fortunately, I came to my senses, but not soon enough, to where he manipulated me in a lot of ways, and came in between friendships and other kinds of relationships. But I finally did see the light and was able to get out of that abusive relationship.
What would you have done if you were put in the position where you were either harassed or sexually assaulted while you were in college?
So if I was harassed and it got to a point where I was scared, I would have reported it to someone, I hope, but I don't know that I would have known who to report it to. I lived in an apartment. I didn't live in a dorm, so I wouldn't have had like an RA or somebody to report it to. Professors, not very close to any of the professors. And if I was sexually assaulted, I hope that I would have gone to the police. It's definitely what I suggested to my friend who was date raped. I highly encouraged her to report it, but she didn't feel comfortable doing it. So I hope that I would have enough courage to come forward and go to the police if I were sexually assaulted.
I hope I would have told someone and then ended up getting help for it to overcome it, so that it didn't define me, and so that I wouldn't be a continuous victim. As far as harassment, harassment sometimes nobody else sees. I want to say I hope I would have told a friend, which I did, but ultimately I think it comes down to that person getting themselves out of a situation like that and realizing that that's not what life is about, and that's not how they want to be treated, and to tell someone if they need to tell someone, and have the strength and the courage to get out of the situation.
Why do you think that 65% of women do not report sexual assaults?
That number is quite shocking. I mean, it really is. I would think that way more people reported it. I think that perhaps women blame themselves, maybe, that they maybe led somebody on too far, or maybe they have shame or guilt. I don't know. I can't fathom it, because like I said, I hope that I would report it. But I've never been in that position either, so it's hard to say exactly what you would do.
Well, I think most of them are too embarrassed, and they think that no one would believe them if they told them.
I think it's because they're scared. Like, they're scared, like, whoever, the guy or whoever did it to them is gonna find out and, like, just go back to them and, you know, kind of hold it over their head.
What advice would you give to someone who has been sexually assaulted?
Well, I think that they should report it to the proper authorities.
I think just to try and stay strong and be as brave as she can be, to report it and to see it through.
The advice I would give to someone who has been sexually assaulted is tell someone. Get justice for yourself. Don't let someone else's vile act define who you are. Take control of your life. Take control of what has happened to you. And make sure that you are not the continuous victim.